Hey guys, what's up? First of all, I want to let you guys know that I am on TikTok, so if you want to find me there, the link is in the description along with the other places where you can find me. And also, do me a solid favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notification, and like I said, you can find me at all the platforms here on the internet, social media wise. You can find me at Twitter at BW Roses, Blue Sky at BW Roses, and TikTok at BW Roses. Again, links will be in the description. You can also find an audio or video version of the podcast or videos I do. You can find them over at all your favorite podcasts, and trying to get the right word to say here, guys. All your favorite audio and video podcast affiliates like iTunes, iHeartRadio, Audible for Amazon, Spotify, Pandora, Radio Public, Overcast. Anywhere there's a podcast available, you'll probably find mine there as well. Also find me at VENMO at BW Roses. Find me at Odyssey.com at BW Roses.5. Also find me at Rumble.com at BW Roses. Also you can find me at DeviantArt.com at BVW1979. InkMoney.net at BW Roses. Patreon.com at BW Roses. And you can also find me on Kick.com. I'm on Kick as well. And you can find me at Twitch.tv, both at BW Roses. And you can check out the Teespring store as well for merchandise you can't get anywhere else. Now, with that said, I wanted to talk about this because this was something that's been on my mind since I saw ClownfishTV talk about it. They kind of did a topic on it a little bit. And then I saw Saberspark do a video on the first official adult animated show. Although that is debatable because people will look at The Simpsons as being the first show, the actual first show and everything. But, The Simpsons, are more like the contemporary adult entertainment, the contemporary family entertainment, if you will. PG entertainment, primetime entertainment. And, what Saberspark was talking about, Spicy City, is more of the content that's like, yeah, it's way out there, although people would say The Simpsons kind of pulled something similar at many, through various times, I should say, on their show. But Spicy City's more like, they have dialogue and stuff in there, in more, more, I guess you could say, in your windows and visual representation of what is known as an adult MA rated cartoon. But getting back to what I was saying, I watched what he said about that. Very insightful video. I will recommend you guys check it out. I'll put it at the end of the video here, along with Clownfish TV's video. But Clownfish said that indie animation is the future, or the indie is the future. And like I said, looking at both these videos, it got me realizing that, Clownfish TV's right. Indie animation is indeed the future. And it's more so the future for adult animation. Yeah, we do see animation that is kind of like PG-13 like, animation, if you will, or TV PG, FV, or TV 14V, or whatever. We see that kind of animation, being shown on platforms like YouTube, like Vimeo, like Rumble, and so on. We see that, very evidently, on those platforms. Even Facebook and X, have them as well. But when I look at this, when I look at, what the future of indie animation could mean for adult animation, especially the kind that's more provocative, if you will, if you catch my drift, more risque, more provocative, more sensual in nature, very XXX MA rated. When I look at what the future holds for adult animation through indie animation, like I said, the future, is, well, I didn't say this, but I'm sure a lot of people have said this before. The future is bright. The future is very bright because when you do indie animation, you're mainly, you and your collabers are basically not relying on taking orders or instructions from anybody. You're just working off each other. You're all working to make a common goal a reality. And when you're not structured by corporate entities telling you, okay, you can't do this, but you can do this. Don't do that, but you can do that. when you're not limited to that, you are allowed to let your imagination, your creativity run wild. Be more looser than it normally would be. And you kind of see that at times. You kind of do. I mean, I've talked about this before. Team Season right now is working on what would have been originally had the whole behind the scenes issue with Deke Animation and them kind of going against the contract they had with Sega, the breaching of the contract there, and the selling of the animation cells and such. If they had not done that, then we would have gotten a third season of Sonic Satan, but because of that, we didn't get it. But now you have, outlets like Team Season going out of the way and saying, well, not only are we going to continue Season 3 as it should be, but we're going to add a little bit more maturity to it. And you could see that in the work in progress of the first episode, the pilot episode, the test episode that they want to put out there to try to get something full length, episodic wise, going in the near future. You could see that in the dialogue, in the work in progress, in the animation, in the presentation so far of what's been done, and they are very close to being finished. They are very close to being finished, and once they are, that right there could be, the catalyst to show that indie animation not only is a place, not only is the future for adult animation, the very provocative, sensual, risque kind of adult animation, but it's also the future to continue established animated works of the past. Another Saturday morning project that's getting kind of like a remaster, a reboot, a reanimation treatment is Reboot. Reboot's getting that same treatment and everything, and people are looking forward to it because not only is it a reanimation project that's working on it, but it's basically filling in gaps and such. It's restoring it and everything the way it should be, if not better. It's enhancing it in a big way. So again, indie animation is indeed the future, not just for adult animation, the risque, provocative, sensual kind, which I'll get into in a moment, but it's also the future for bringing back classic animated series of the past, even for free, so that they can have a bit of a conclusion, or they can be seen the way they're supposed to be seen. But getting back to the topic at hand, the reason I feel that, adult animation, the risque, provocative, sensual, XXX MA, rated kind, is, NC-17, if you will, as well. The reason I feel like it's in good hands when it comes to indie animation is because, like I said, there are no limitations. We know that when you're trying to, we know that when indie animation creates something that they want to be seen by everybody, that they feel is going to be playable and not, not criticized, or it's not going to be, too risque or take downish for outlets like the YT and others. We know that when they work on those kind of projects, where they want everybody to view it on the biggest platform they know of, which is the YT, we know that they are careful about how they present it, how it's, brought to the table and everything, for people to view and enjoy without any issues. We know they got to be that careful, because there's a good chance they could essentially have it taken down if it's, not, I guess you could say, suitable in the eyes of outlets like the YT or Daily Motion or whoever. Getting some Coca-Cola. But again, that's where those kind of people have to be careful and everything. But when it comes to indie animators doing more risque, provocative, sensual, XXX, NC-17, MA rated animations, animated movies, series, whatever, there is no limitation. There is no holding back. If you're doing a very adult animated feature or project, that you want to show the world, and it's going to have that NC-17, XXX, R-rated label, associated with it, not slapped on it, but associated with it. Basically what you want to do in those kind of projects is up to your imagination, because your imagination is going to be very unlimited, if you will, to what you would want to come up with. And that's why you see a lot of people, when you go to places like DeviantArt and wherever, or inkbunny.net, or even outlets like, let's say Archive of Our Own, and so on, and fanfiction.net. You go to these outlets and you go to the mature sections and everything, and you find out that a lot of these stories that they're writing, mostly like I'm getting tongue-tied here, guys. Sorry about that. I'm getting a little tongue-tied. But mostly at outlets like archiveofourown.org and fanfiction.net, when you go to the mature sections of those two sites and you see these stories, do you not think these people are putting these stories together with the material they're using, just for people to read and imagine what's going on in their mind? No. They're doing it as well to try to, work with whatever software that's going to be able to let them see what it would look like, in real life. And that's why, nowadays, when you look at Kling, you look at Luma, you look at what else? Sora, VO2, you look at Pixverse and many others, and HaloU, you notice that a lot of people are using them to test out certain scenes, certain moments. I mean, as I've talked about before, people that I follow, like Trouble TRO, Nexi Comics, or Nexstat, if you will, and people like Joven16, Nexstat, Trouble TRO, and others, I notice that sometimes when they want to visually see what something would look like, coming to life, they'll go to one of those AI outlets. They'll go to one of those AI outlets to see if maybe what they want to have brought to life will be brought to life the way they want. And sometimes they will get what they want, especially if they give enough description. Now, I can't say if there's a NFSW-like video generator that's similar to, let's say, a Luma or a Kling that allows them to go even further, but still, I digress on that. But you get what I'm saying. Basically, people like Trouble TRO and Joven16, they do that because they have more in mind than just this being like a webcomic series or whatever. They want to try to do movies. They want to try to take their ideas, as much as they might, land themselves, land themselves basically from a genre perspective in the NC-17 XXX area, just barely. They want to see visually what it would look like being brought to life. That's what they would like. And that's why indie animation is a good direction to go in with the help of AI, and why for very, very adult films and animated films, shows and projects, it is indeed a great platform to work with, because again, your imagination is only limited to what you can't come up with anymore. And that's a fact. Your animation is only limited to what you can't come up with anymore. And the imagination is unlimited. So you can come up with anything. You can. And that's why, when I look at some of these stories, I'm like, obviously this would make, in my mind, when I look at some of the stories from the people I follow, in my mind, these would fit perfectly as animated films or shows, utilizing the AI software, if not more, and, just seeing where it takes them from there. But why, again, do I feel like the very adult, provocative, sensual, XXX, NC-17, MA-rated, R-rated, XXX rated, stories could work in this, thanks to indie animation? Why do I feel like indie animation is their future? Because again, like I said, when you do that kind of stuff, but it's under, let's say, a corporation, yeah, you can have as much leeway as you can, but you get to a certain limitation, and then that's it. Once you get to that limitation, you can't do no more. But with indie animation, you can do as much as you want. You can get as crazy and as wild as you want. And that's why I agree with ClownfishTV. Indie animation, the indie, is the future. It is the future. And if you want good examples of what I mean, take a look at what Vivia has done so far, with her projects. Hell of a Boss, Has Been Hotel. You take a look at those projects. You take a look at other projects like Lackadaisy, and so on. Digital Circus. These are all independent animated projects. And even though they might make a deal to distribute them on bigger platforms, part of that deal, as far as I know, or as far as I can guess, I should say, is, the original creator and their team, have the final say. They have the final say in in what is made, and they don't have to answer to anybody telling them, don't do this, try this. They have all the freedom that they had before. They retain that. And that's the one thing about indie animation. You can, like I said, despite making deals with bigger, to have your stuff on bigger platforms, you retain your freedom, of creativity, hopefully. And that's why when people want to create some adult and very adult animated projects and everything, they know indie animation is the direction to go in, because, if they want to get wild and crazy and psychedelic and weird and all that, they can do that as much as they want. They can go as crazy as much as they want, and no one would say anything. No one would say anything. If they wanted tomorrow to take, let's say, what's one I'm looking for? Let's say tomorrow they wanted to take Disney's Bonkers. Let's say tomorrow, Disney's Bonkers. Let's say tomorrow they wanted to do Disney's Bonkers as a very adult animated show, very, very adult animated show, risque and all that, jazz. Let's say they wanted to do that as an indie project, and then they said the subject for this animated indie short based on Disney Bonkers is Miranda Wright and Fondier getting it on together in a very intimate, very, very intimate, triple X, rated scenario with each other. Like, if they wanted to do that, they could, and whatever they put them through in that animation is only up to their in that animation is only limited to the unlimitedness of their imagination. And the thing is, they wouldn't have to really answer to anybody because it's an indie animation. They're not making money off it, or anything, if they're just doing it to, kind of test the waters. So that way, if they do decide to make money off something, they can go to a place like Indiegogo or Patreon or Kickstarter or whatever and start, the process and getting an original OG project up and running for either with the goal for it to be an animated film or a very, very adult animated series. And again, the only limitation to them, taking that first step is their imagination, which is unlimited in its own right. And that's a fact. I mean, if Team Season wanted to, they could make, the pilot for Season 3 that they're creating a lot more mature. They don't have to go down the risque triple X, NC-17 rabbit hole. They don't have to do that. But if they want to make it a little bit more gritty and a little bit more darker, they could do that. Because if they're basing some of it, mind you, on the webcomic of the same name, there is a scene in there where Sally sees something behind her, chasing after them or blowing up, and she's yelling, "Oh my God." As she's riding on top of Dulcie back to Knothole, she sees something and she's like, "Oh my God." In the original animated series, you never saw that happen. You never had her say that. But if Team Season wanted to, go down that path and make, this pilot, this reintroduction to the show, a little bit more darker, a little bit more mature, and a little bit more gritty, they could put that in there and it would work. And people who grew up on the series, who are adults themselves now, who are parents themselves now, maybe even have grandkids themselves, would accept it because they would see that the characters of this very show have grown up with them. So basically what I'm saying is indie animation is indeed the future. And if you're somebody that's into making very, very adult NC-17 triple X, M-rated material for animated projects like films or shows, then you are in good hands, because again, the limitation that you have is only up to your imagination. It really is. It's only up to your imagination, and you can only go so far, with your imagination if you want, and how far you can go is up to you. But yeah, indie animation is indeed the future. I do agree with that. And it's not just the adult animation stuff that I mentioned either. It's, again, like I said, Team Season and what they're doing, the reboot situation, Hell of a Boss, Has Been Hotel, Lackadaisy, and so on. Digital Circus, you name it, Murder Drones. Indie animation is indeed the future. And that's why you hear all these reports, whether you believe them or not, that a lot of the animation industry in Hollywood, established from Disney to Warner Brothers to Universal to whatever, to whoever, this is why you're hearing the news, the rumors, the speculation that they are not happy. That they are being outdone and outclassed by common people like me and you making these little indie animation projects and finding success. They're not happy about that. They're not happy about that. That's why I think, and this is just my opinion, I think Warner Brothers took the appointment that they did with Vivia, because they want a piece of that pie. But I'm sure when she talked to them, she's like, I have my, I guess you could say, my limitations. Like, okay, you want to work with me on this, or you want to license this, that's fine. But I have some demands. I have some, stipulations you need to agree to. So whatever came out of that, we'll see. Whatever came out of that meeting, we'll see. But again, when you have them willing to talk to her more so than ever, it shows you that even they realize, as a studio in their animation division, how threatening indie animation is to them. Because they realize that the people behind it don't have to answer to corporate people. That they could basically be as creative and imaginative and innovative, as much as they want. In whatever they want to bring to the table. I mean, if you're somebody that's into the weird and the psychedelic when it comes to stories and ideas, and you're someone that's more into the risque, XXX, NC-17, M-rated, MA-rated, I should say, material, but you're also into the weird and psychedelic, if you decide, hey, I want to take my love for the weird and psychedelic and apply it to that, again, the only limitation is what you can't come up with anymore in your imagination. And there is no limitation, period. There is no limitation. So if you say, for example, you want to do an adult animation where two ladies, get it on intimately, but the two ladies made of slime, and then as they get it on, they melt into each other, and they become puddles of goo. They splat everywhere. You see little body parts, poking up like hands, upper region, bottom region, lips and all that. And then the end result is they end up fusing into one who, had some fun with herself before, exploding back into, bits and pieces all over the place, and then reforming back into them individually as two separate people. If you want to do something like that, hey, again, the only limitation is your imagination. That's the only limitation. So the point I'm getting at, long story short, is, a lot of studios, again, this is why you're hearing all these rumors, the animation divisions at these studios, this is why you hear of them, going up in flames, why you hear that, the future might be dim, or studios might consider shutting those animation divisions down. It's all because of indie animation's rise from, obscurity to prominence as we speak. And that's why, again, like I said, if you're someone that's into the adult animation of the very risky, provocative, sensual kind, that's also has the NC-17, XXX, MA ratings to it, then you're in good hands. Your future is in good hands. And the same goes for any other project, including those that want to try to reestablish, reintroduce and reestablish already original established projects from decades ago, because those established products, in their minds, didn't have a proper conclusion, or didn't have proper resolution, or whatever. Or they just feel like, hey, there's more to the story than what what we left off on, let's make that a reality. And that's why indie animation is where it's at today, coming from obscurity and rising to the prominence that we know it of as we speak. But anyway, though, guys, I just wanted to talk about that. I know it sounded like I just rambled a little bit, but I just wanted to respond to what ClownfishTV said, as well as Saberspark said in his video. Again, both videos will be linked at the end here. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. Like the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel. Also, click on the links, as I mentioned at the beginning, in the description, where you can find my content elsewhere. I would very much appreciate it, guys. You can find me at all your favorite audio, video, podcast affiliates. You can find me at VENMO, at Rumble, at Odyssey, at DeviantArt, at BVW1979 there, at Ink Bunny, Patreon. Most of those are under the BW Roses name, as well as you can follow me at Twitter and Blue Sky, both under BW Roses, as well as on TikTok. But guys, let me know what your thoughts on what I had to say here. What do you feel? Do you agree with my assumption on, indie animation being the future, and basically being the future, in a positive way, for the very, very adult, provocative kind of animation that's XXX, NC-17 rated? Let me know. Love to hear your thoughts. And until then, I am out. You have a good day.